Hello friends. So yesterday we created a werewolf on our free-to-play account from our elementalist. I showed you how to get it from the store for free, how to level up the skill line, which is different than all the other skill lines, and leveling up skills. Then we leveled up all the skills we needed. And it was very easy and fast. It would be even faster on a subscriber account compared to free-to-play. But it really took very little time. So today we are going to test it build. It's single target. It's, as I said yesterday, end game. Probably every top trial group will use it because of the buffs werewolves now give to all members of their team, and also it's quite high in terms of single target damage. We'll be demonstrating that here on the test server, which is a little slow. So usually you get much worse parsers. Also, I'm a very sloppy parser, but still I hope you see that it's very viable, and it's in a way free to play. I say in a way because in order to optimize it you would actually need to get some trial sets, and to get trials you need to buy expansions. But since all this is about, you don't need subscription though, and since all this is about endgame, you cannot really have endgame in here, so if you don't have access to trials, unless you consider PvP endgame. So there are two ways. You can either subscribe when you have access to all the trials, or you can just buy those trials and DLC dungeons you want, and then you don't need to subscribe. Or if you want, you can just do 3 basic trials, which are part of the base game, and some of the DLC trials and all the base game trials. DLC trials actually, sometimes they are given for free, and I think they are introducing more and more as free. So with time probably it will get better in this respect. Anyway, let's test the build. So we pre-charged our ultimate using this. And now we'll transform into a werewolf. Look at this. Now when we just hit. So these are the lags I was telling you about. And it's cheaper to just test everything on the test server. So, you can tell that it's on the BTS server, and also it's just first parse. Well, very few I've done here. And you can also say that I am a sloppy parser, but still you get 156k on our first parse during this stream, which is quite good. On similar builds, the best parsers, but you need to do something which is called crit farming. The best parsers report over 200,000 DPS, which a few years ago would be unthinkable for a single target. Nice thing now about the werewolf is that it's really easy to sustain. The form of the werewolf, you don't need to eat all the time, and also outside of combat, of course, you are not losing any ultimate to sustain it. And this is this current build. So we have 2 charged weapons, flame and poison, daggers, both daggers. You don't have daggers now, but since you transformed on the front bar where you have daggers, you still do flame and poison damage as status effects, and status effects are very important. And then we don't really use this one. I use the Nightblade as a base for this. Oh, we don't have a Mundus. How is it possible? It would be even better. No. I think we did have Mundus. No, we don't. Incredible. Hey, we'll try again in a moment. Do we have Mundus now? No, it still says none. Which is weird. Probably some glitch. What about now? That's very funny. So Thief increases our critical chance, which makes us do much more damage. Okay, and what about now? Oh, so it was without Thief, it seems. So I used Nightblade as a base. It's pretty good now. If you go pure class, pretty good for a werewolf. You can also use others, but probably for pure damage Nightblade is the best. See, now we have higher spell and weapon critical, finally. And skills and skill bars for the werewolf form doesn't really matter as long as you have passives. And you choose class masteries, so an eye for exploitation, which increases your weapon and spell damage. We were reading that yesterday, by the way, by up to 2000 based on your target's missing health. That reduces your damage taken, and also above and beyond. increases your critical damage and healing by 25%, and increases your maximum critical damage and healing by 30%, which is huge, because you can go over the 125% critical damage cap, which they introduced a few years ago. So now for Nightblades it's 155%. As you can see, our penetration was on point. This is why I chose one light piece. So if you get standard buffs in your trial group, you will have enough penetration. This is light. And we are using the new mythic, which as far as I know is also free. You can get it at Night Market, the new special event zone, and it's really powerful. Most builds will, well, DPS builds will use it now. And we used Savage Werewolf, which is an all DLC dungeon set, and perfected Null Arca from a trial. So of course your damage would go lower if you go for crafted options like Order's Wrath and Tideborn, but still it would be decent considering the crafted part. Let's try again with the Thief. Oh, and for skills, yeah. So Nightblade skill is not really important for this test. This is the single target werewolf build. I went for, of course, all the passives, which are quite good. And then there are two builds. Yesterday we were also talking about the channeling build, which uses different morph of this and this. The other morphs for that build both use these morphs. So these three skills are the same for both. The other build does less damage and probably is slightly more difficult to keep the werewolf form. I haven't tried it. Let's try here again. as you can see this time, it was much better with the Mundus sign. We got 168,000 DPS, which is pretty nice. And as I said, the best parsers, and also if you do it many times, then you get favorable critical damage. This is what you usually see, where you see the best parsers on a trial dummy. So you hunt for the perfect critical, well, it's never perfect, but very good critical chance and damage. So you need to do many parsers. Sometimes you do it like for a week, and then one of them is the highest, and then you publish those as what's possible on a particular build. So with this in mind, the best parsers I've seen on builds like this one, single target on a trial dummy, are 200,000 DPS. We could probably see how it works with crafted sets. It would be lower, of course. For example, we would lose 12,000 DPS we get from Novarka, but then we would get some other effect. We would lose Minor Slayer, which is 5% DPS if you don't use a trial set. You could use trial sets from base trials, of course, base game trials, and still get that. Let's see. Can we get it here? Doesn't matter that these are DLC crafted sets, because other people can craft them for you and you can just use them. When did we get Order's Wrath? Was it High Isle? Let's see. Yes. I'm surprised that I remembered it. And the other one, which would be interesting, I mean, is Tideborn. When did we get Tideborn? Was it Solstice? Yes. So these sets you can just buy from other players, or they will make them for you, especially if you have friends or good guildmates in the game. So let's try this. Before we do that, let's save this current build. We will not be changing the werewolf skills. Useless trades that will transmute them. Players can just give you whatever you need. We'll keep the Signet though, because if it's available for everyone for free, there's no reason not to use it, just get it. far as I remember when I tested it a month or two ago, you don't get the passives for having daggers, so you could really use any weapon, because in werewolf form you don't have daggers, but of course you want daggers for your other builds, or if you're in pure Nightblade form. Okay, now we switch to Order's Wrath. Let's stay in Savage Werewolf for now. Just need to transmute. And look at this, your paws are too clumsy. You need to transform back. I was surprised when I first saw it, I remember. Okay, so we need 2 charged because of how status effects are powerful right now in game. And the Signet. And it seems that because of changes to multiplicative versus additive buffing in game, infused jewelry may be the way to go. So for now I'm using infused, but you can also use bloodthirsty, and I should actually probably test it myself because I haven't seen any reliable tests showing that. But for now let's go for infused. Okay, that's it, I think. Now only the enchantments. Because this is crafted, we don't have stamina even though it's medium. So now we'll put stamina here, it's all stamina by the way. You could do it on magic as well, because of how easy it is to sustain werewolf. And now we need flame and poison. And here we need to increase farm. Okay, that's it, I think. So now we are testing the thing without the trial set, so we'll get less damage of course, and then we'll also replace Savage Werewolf with Tideborn, and we'll see how it changes things. As you can see, it's still not bad. So from 160, what was it, 5? $168 when the trial set, no Arca. We went down to 152,000 DPS, which is still a lot if you compare it to just a few years ago. And it's still a lot so that you can do trifectas and trials and dungeons, etc. You won't get this damage, of course, in real content because it's easier to do it in perfect conditions on a trial dummy, but this is what we use to compare builds. If you have this build, you'll be able to do all the content very, very, very comfortably. So now we got this damage. Let's see how it goes with Tideborn instead of Savage Werewolf. We'll need stamina pieces for this. And we do have 5. Yeah, we are ready. For the lags and the fact that you will have all your achievements deleted, you could actually play the test server for free with access to everything, well, almost everything. But it's very rare. And right now it's not even the worst. About the Savage Werewolf set from the dungeon Moonhunter kit. It's even lower, but it's still very good. And if you do crit farming, doing parses, and if you are better at parsing than me with my sloppy rotation, because I'm just too tired with this game to practice and too lazy right now about it, you would probably go much higher. So if our today's highest parse on trial and savage trial set and savage werewolf was 168 without crit farming, then let's say you could go maybe 20% higher, which means that here and here you could also probably go 20% higher, right? So it would be actually a really good parse and crits. This one with 2 crafted sets could be higher than the first one we did today, which was with the trial set and the DLC dungeon set. So as you can see, this werewolf is just brilliant, and you can definitely use it for endgame on a free-to-play account. Because werewolf is free, Nightblade is free, Signet, the new mythic, is free, crafted sets are free, and yeah, everything we used is free. And you have a very powerful damage dealer character, which is also wanted in trial groups because you buff the whole team. And we went through buffs yesterday. See, you give your team major courage, which is very good because it allows your team to replace one 5-item set on a healer like SPC or Olorime, and also 6% damage done additionally, which stacks with all the named buff. It's a unique buff, so it stacks with everything else. Something new in game. And also you give your team minor force, which is a very much needed buff. And it's easy to maintain. 30 seconds of minor force, 20 seconds of major courage, and 6% also for 30 seconds. Just for pressing one skill, and then your team can just use the synergy, and it's for 12 people. It's one of those synergies which everyone can use. Some synergies are like only for the first 3, for example. This one is for everyone, including you. So powerful buffs. Now we are moving away from Velotti Amulet in endgame, which means we lose this source of minor force. Everyone needs to slot barb drop, for example, to get minor force individually. So if you have a werewolf, you don't need to do it, but actually barb drop is quite a good skill, so many builds will use it as best in slot just for damage and bleeds. But this is good for others as well, so great for the group. 3 great buffs just for this one skill, and you do lots of single target damage. Very high damage output. So the best Nightblades now, again with crit farming. Best parsers report around 200,000. Same for Necromancers. Necromancers are actually better in a way because they have AoE damage and cleave damage. Nightblades are single target. So in a way this werewolf does the same damage as a Nightblade, but also buffs the whole team. And you are very tanky, by the way. Oh, it's very nice. Yeah, that's it. Probably next time like a poll, so if you guys want to just let me know. We could try the other build, which instead of using just light attack weaving, uses a channel, 5-second channel, similarly to Arcanist Beam. And this is an AoE attack, so maybe better for scenarios where you need cleave instead of just single target damage. Well, thank you for your company and see you next time. Bye bye.